Hey everyone, I'm Melanie from Streamlined Legal, where we help law firms get the most out of their practice management software. Tonight we are talking about Clio Launcher versus Clio Drive. Now, some of you may have heard of these features in the past, but I think there's been a fair amount of confusion as to which one's which and which one's going to be the most helpful for you. So I did want to talk about those a little bit tonight. If you haven't used any of them or either of them, I will walk you through how it works, what it looks like, what you can expect, and then you can make up your own mind when we get to the end of this video, which will only be in about 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and dive over to our Clio screen, and we're going to include a little bit of a history lesson here as far as why they have both products and what you can do with them. So when Clio first came out, it did always have a documents tab, which is great, and they've always allowed for storage of documents. Especially the fact that they do allow for an unlimited number of documents to be stored. So you're not charged based on the number of documents that you store. So it can be a really nice resource. So when we look at these documents, though, on the Documents tab, originally there was no Clio Launcher, there was no Clio Drive, and all you had was this hyperlink here with the document. And when I click on that hyperlink, just as today, it goes ahead and it downloads that document to your computer. So from there, you can open it up and edit it or do whatever you want with it. But if I do want to go ahead and edit that document and put it back into Clio, then the workflow can be a little bit challenging. Not challenging, but it just takes extra steps, right? So what I would have to do is I would have to upload the copy again and either make it another version or upload a separate copy, whichever. The trick is, though, if I'm going to use that workflow, I'm going to have to save a copy of that document somewhere on my hard drive in order to upload it to Clio. And that's where we get a lot of challenges, right? Because maybe it's a document that we didn't want a copy of on someone's hard drive. If we're talking about security, if we're talking about keeping documents secure, I don't really want my team to be putting copies of documents on their hard drive of their computers just to upload them so that they can be secure in Clio. Now, Clio itself is very secure, but again, if we have multiple copies all over the place, then we lose a bit of security, right? So that's the first challenge. The second challenge is just it takes longer, right? Now I have to download it, I have to upload it. It just takes longer, more clicking, more waiting for the internet, depending on how fast my speed is. So it really just wasn't a very easy workflow. And so what Clio did was they put together this product called Clio Launcher, and you can tell the Clio Launcher is installed when you see this little blue arrow next to the document, right? And so when my Clio Launcher is installed and I click on the little blue arrow, unfortunately you won't be able to see it on your screens, but it opens up immediately and directly right into Microsoft Word, right? And so, or depending on what type of document it is, it can also open up in your PDF reader. So either way, that did make the document opening that much easier, right? But still, with the Clio Launcher, you still have to upload a new copy or edit that document on your computer, save a copy to upload it back into Clio. And so again, we still have the same kind of challenges. It did make opening the document faster and easier, but we still have those storage issues of I don't need copies of all my documents on everybody's computers. And then I've got to remind them to delete them all when they're not using them, if they're just in a temporary file. And then sometimes if we forget to upload them, which one's the latest version, things like that. Just, in my opinion, a big mess. So it was great news when Clio decided that they were going to create Clio Drive, right? And Clio Drive works very similar to a Dropbox or OneDrive or a product like that, where it basically makes it look like those documents are on your computer. And so if we come over here to our Finder, you can see I'm on a Mac, of course, but it works very similar on a PC, where I have my documents right there. It creates a little folder called Clio Drive. And the documents, when I open up the Drive folder, it has all the different clients, right? And within each client, it's got their matters, right? A matter folder for each one. I open up the matter and I find the documents inside the folder, right? And this is an excellent workflow, right? Because now I can open up these documents just as if they were on my computer, because by the way, a copy is on the computer. I can open them up, I can edit them, I can save them right back to here, and Clio will constantly in the background be updating those and uploading newer versions and keeping those up to date, both with a copy in Clio and with a copy that might be saved on my colleagues' computers as well if they have Drive installed as well. And so Clio Drive really did fix that workflow issue, right? It allowed for us to use these documents as if they were saved on our own computers and have a much, much easier workflow, right? So if you are looking to store your documents on Clio and you're looking for a solution to do that with, I would highly, highly recommend that you use Clio Drive. Because it will be a much easier workflow. Again, it's just as if you're working with the documents on your computer, and it appears to be exactly the same. So there's not a big learning curve. It does, of course, have to be installed and set up, but once that's done, there's not a real big learning curve and the workflow is super, super easy. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that Clio Drive does store a copy of every document you save into Clio on every user's drive or every user's computer, every Clio user you have that has Drive installed. So if all of your team is using Clio Drive in order to have that really nice workflow, but you guys are storing a lot of documents in Clio, which of course Clio allows you to do, then that could very quickly, depending on how many documents you have and how much storage is being used, that could quickly overwhelm an individual computer. So do keep that in mind and keep track of that so that as you are trying to use that feature, if you come across a challenge with it being very slow or very slow to update or very slow to download the documents when they're newly added, keep in mind that that could be the issue, right? Check your internet speed, of course, but if there are a lot of documents on there, then it's going to put a copy of every document on every user's computer, every user that has Clio Drive installed, that is. So while it's a fantastic workflow, I definitely prefer it over the Clio launcher, but I just caution firms that have a large number of documents, maybe you've been practicing for years, maybe you've stored a lot of documents in Clio, make sure that you're cognizant of that when you start using the Clio Drive product. And if that does become a challenge for you, you may want to look to store your documents outside of Clio. Thanks for joining me tonight. Please let me know. I'd love to hear your experience with both products to see what works for your firm. Feel free to leave a chat in the conversations below. Or if you're looking for more advice on the do's and don'ts and the tips and tricks around Clio, please feel free to reach out. Join Streamline Legal Plus, where you will hear all of this on a weekly basis. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Have a great evening.